living with a competitive, driven athlete is more difficult than you think it is, because she's always striving to be her best, and when she's not there, I feel like pep talks are like, why did this go wrong? Why did that go wrong? And you only get to see the good side of things, you know, whereas like at home, we're sharing the quote unquote failures that aren't necessarily failures, but we're talking through those scenarios. Why did this happen? Why did that? You know, what can we do next time to make it better? And how did you learn from this so that, you know, going forward, you're not going to make the same mistake? Well, when we first thought about getting married, we were building our house, so that was like the first step in that journey is like, okay, well, after we get married, we're gonna move in and we're gonna live here. And we didn't know anything else, didn't have any other plans. We just knew that we liked the area, we had a house, and I had a job, she had a job, and that was it. And then there at the wedding venue, like we just came up with this like crazy idea that like, okay, we're gonna have this like basically 2-year plan where we're gonna start this journey, we're gonna get ready for that, and then we're just gonna basically sell it all and move in a different direction. And we had no idea what that looked like at the time. It was just this like one spot in the distance, and we were shooting for that. It's just, I mean, it's honestly unbelievable looking back on the 2 years, almost to be 2 years, and how it's gotten us to this point. The decision to go full-time in this direction was not easy. The biggest thing that I'm most afraid of is leaving the family business and kind of like my career, which is probably in its 4th year now. So just leaving all that behind, going in a different direction where I'm not gonna have that job security, that's probably the scariest thing, because like you said, the family is coming eventually. You know, we plan to have kids one day and settle down and kind of do the somewhat normal family thing, but I think that the way things have developed and the way that God always provides in the end, if we're following His direction and the way that He leads us, that, you know, I shouldn't have to be worried about that.
It's both. It's both, yeah. Is dinner ready yet?
Blane was very interesting. Right out of the gate, it was obvious that he was mechanically inclined. Years and thousands of dollars of Legos, you know, we end up with a kid that can see how to put something together with his mind before he even does it, and then took that and expand that into construction or vision of how to, you know, build his life.
All right, we're closing the doors on you.
So he was so focused on school and sports and everything, he didn't really date much, you know, so even went off to college, not really dating anybody, you know, and I keep saying that, I say, you see anybody? You see anybody? It's like, no. I was like, you know, what's going on here? And he finally just told me, they said, I'm not going to waste my time dating around. I'm only going to date somebody I'm interested in spending my life with. And then one day, Kaitlyn showed up. And it's been amazing to watch how they've worked together as a married couple, not only on enjoying life while they're working, and it's been stressful. We've had a lot of work to do, but they're moving into a condo where we're working at downtown, and there's no area of concern that Tabby and I have for them. It's like everything's lined up, everything's perfect. I didn't find the Lord until 2000. My wife was raised in a church. But I say all that, even though Tabby wanted to get us in the church, Blane was already going to Timberlake for daycare and then Awanas. So this whole process of Blane leading the way, even though he was an infant at the time, and we've joked all throughout his life that he's the wisdom in our family. The L-shaped building, as far as getting, let me go backwards then. So that's where I am on framing here. I've got these inspections here, insulating now, sheetrock coming Monday, hanging next week, cleaning, shades are in.
Yep, blinds are in.
Numbers ordered for the doors.
Yeah, we're just waiting on the paint to cure on the doors,
Yeah.
and we'll pull the trigger on the vinyl.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
It's when you want to move in. Yeah.
2-3 weeks should be ready. Yeah. Yeah. So we're gonna be living here, and really we need to get into the property, and the best way. This is the best entrance. This is the main entrance. So I like that, having construction here, blocking this off, all deliveries and subcontractors going this way, tenants coming around here. You know, parking is there, over here, and our units on this end. So we'll definitely want to have some nice paving. You know, all the dumpsters and stuff out of the way and everything cleaned up. I don't know if we're ready for paving yet. We got some utilities still to run, but it's solid enough now where we can have tenants move in, and then we can just flip-flop back and forth when we're ready to pave.
So the timeline is 4 or 5 weeks for you, but I don't think I agree. We're not going to be there on pavement by then. So you and Kaitlyn will be the only ones living there, and construction's still going on. So
Like usual.
So yeah, there you go. So don't call the office complaining.
This is Breezewood Drive in Lynchburg, Virginia, and we call this project the Modern. As you can see from some of the photos, it's very unique to the Lynchburg area, and actually took a lot of our inspiration from the Midwest, Colorado, Arizona, Utah, that kind of thing. I'm the, I guess, foremost the project manager for this site, but also the interior designer, the coordinating scheduling, ordering materials, estimating, pretty much anything that's hands-on in the field, I've kind of headed up and kept track of. Yeah, I think my favorite thing is actually the looks and the style, the design. It's something that I feel like brought my own flavor to this, and got to put my own little bits and pieces in some of the cabinets and fixtures, as well as the siding and the outside materials. And the kitchen design, we wanted to have an island that, you know, just gives you more flex space, where when you're in a kitchen you have this triangle which connects your refrigerator to your stove to your sink, and that's just how the kitchen flows. And this is, in my opinion, the best way to have the kitchen designed. Over there, and then they're finishing the sheetrock downtown on the check-in building, the next one. So a lot of the things you'll see is a two-tone, where the bottom is a different color from the top, the uppers, and we brought in a lot of life as far as color in the kitchen faucet and the hardware. So maybe 2 or 3 weeks. So upstairs you'll find 3 bedrooms, a master bedroom, and then 2 secondary bedrooms. There's 2 baths upstairs as well. The master bath has a nice tile shower, tile on the floors, double vanity. The second bath has a tub shower with a single vanity, and both of them have a large closet space. And the first 2 buildings, one that we're standing in, should be done by the end of the month, and I expect to have those rented, you know, by midsummer. With the next buildings, you know, starting to come online, you know, 1 a month after that, you know, kind of in that flow. And we're expecting to be 100% done with this project by the end of the year.
That's good. Oh, I like that spot. So I want you to keep it in your butt. And so when you're talking about what you have your low back, I think this is the place to be most aware of it, right? Because if you're moving through your bike, like you don't have the same big extension, but this is the place where you're gonna hit your back, right? So just think about a little more core stability through the front. And we'll go for 5 more and then do the same thing on the other side. Lean with it. So a little more upright with your torso, you got it.
When I bring someone in, I want to see if they can stand on one leg. I want to see what their embodiment is, whether they are connected to themselves, whether I can ask them to do something specific and then they can respond to it. So you have to kind of take them where they are and then just advance their skill set for whatever it is that they're going to apply their movement toward.
So one of the other things here though is really
Kate's instance of exercising and getting back in shape wasn't like a typical, someone who's been mountain biking and then just comes to mountain bike because she had such a catastrophic injury. So really we were rehabbing her joints and we were reintegrating her whole body from the ground up. So our knee is our main load transfer joint. And just the slightest bit of change in your kinetics can change that shear force. And the way that her injury was, it was on the tibial plateau. So this place where there's the top of your bone, that's the lower part of your leg, and then where your femur, your upper leg comes in, this whole surface was just broken up. Lots of pins, lots of hardware. So there's the trauma of the injury, and then there's the trauma of the accident. And there's all of that tissue that needs to be re-educated. But at the same time, there's a certain period of time where it's not gonna let you. It wants to heal more than anything else. But she's an excellent healer. It's one of the things that I loved about working with Kate, is that she was gonna get better.
Stay in that plank when we hit the next one. There.
Yeah, she is incredible. The amount of dedication and drive that she has, and the passion.
You got it, this is it. This is the last bit. Yep.
I really enjoy business, and I really enjoy seeing people grow, and just, you don't see that much passion in people. And she's got it.
Her commitment to learning about what she can do to improve herself has gone a long way. And then she's taken that and transitioned it into the actual road where she's doing different workouts to focus on this thing, or like different strength because of this weakness here. So really honing in on those different aspects, whereas somebody else may just go and, I'm just gonna ride this week and do whatever, where she's like looking for the little weaknesses or the little places she can pick up, maybe the lost space that somebody else won't. And her commitment is kind of like developed in such a way that now she's not only doing the easy, simple things, but also the little things that are hard to find, that you have to like dig into deep into, the knowledge to figure out.
A little break. We're gonna give it a little break.
Okay.
When we were talking about your back, you were saying like, oh, you know what, I have trouble cornering.
I actually corner better to the left.
You're turning left.
Yeah, and it's stiffer going to the right. But I also think that's because I ride with my right foot forward.
We
So when
are
my foot
spiral
is
creatures
forward-
all the way down to our DNA. If you look at the way our structure is, everything sort of wraps, the way our connective tissue is. So I feel like a spring not only invites natural movement, it's elastic, like our tissue is elastic. So when I'm also working with springs, the nature of a spring is the longer it gets, the harder it gets. And so you can fine tune how your body is moving through its entire translation of an exercise, right? And I can hit her hamstrings in the back side of her body, the back side of her lower body in particular, in a completely different way on a spring ladder than I can on something like the reformer. They're independent from each other. So springs in and of themselves require more control.
I think that this is just your triceps are sort of. Okay, so you're here, then bend your knee. And now as you go into your row, you're going to pull and extend the left knee.
Oh.
And the left right hand. Yeah. And I know I just gave you like 5 things to say. So the hip extension is not as important as the knee extension here.
In the beginning, we put her on the reformer because I could manage the load in horizontal plane. I could watch the way her knees tracked, and then I could see if I could progress her to just simple single leg standing load, basic squats, basic lunges. So really starting with her feet and her ankles and her knee and her hips, and then having the core be an integral part. And then once she got there, we decided to use things that had load. We used resistance. I gave her some ballistics, so we did some jumping exercises. And again, once she was healthy enough to do the jumping, we kept that going because I can take something like the TRX or the Bodhi trainer, and she has 2 of them in her hands. And we really use the Bodhi trainer, which has two lines of force essentially. So it's more like a bicycle, right? Like when you're on the TRX, there's only one anchor point that comes back. So it's a little more stable. But when you have 2 separate ropes, like on the Bodhi trainer, it's more like what you have to do when you're on the bike. So we would get her on there and do exercises that were forcing her into rotation like she would be on a bike and get her back into her center.
So I thought we could do our lunge patterns with...
Kate used a program for her metrics on the bike. So it would measure her watts, her power. She kept track of her heart rate. And so she had a program of those workouts. So I could see if the work that we were doing once a week was impacting that. And I could see like when she needed to take time off, and if she was overtraining, and we would plug her workouts in on days where she had a light one before so we could hit it harder and still get benefit because your body needs to restore and rest.
Yep,
Just
so,
doing her normal.
Yep, doing circles. So hinge, stretch.
And again, seeing her once a week, I could give her more load progressively because I knew what she was doing in the off time.
Feels a little extra pulling on my adductors today.
We did so much. I mean, we did a lot of things to kind of get gracilis. And, there were sneaky things, right?
And she had some homework. She was doing some mat work, things like that. So really, I would mark the progress by her performance on the bike because that data was so clear.
So, imprinted kind of in a ball. You'll reach out, stay in that imprint. Hinge the hips. Peel up, aim to a rung. And then when you're coming back down, you want to kind of just clear. I'm just clearing the ladder, but I'm tempering it with my abs and my arms.
Okay.
I'm trying to go straight down on my spine. Once my low back lands, I'll pull back in and do it again. Hinge, peel.
She's driven. She knew exactly what she wanted to achieve.
Yep, and point them. There you go.
And I think it's just a testament to her character to be able to excel and progress at the way she was and then continue to just get back on her bike just a few months later.
Oh, pull back in.
Pull back in, then reach out.
She's got the kind of frame that can do enduro rides better, who can do long distances. Her strength to weight ratio is pretty darn good for someone her size. So I just think that the character part is such a strong part of being a good athlete. And she's got it. She's definitely got it. So I expect to see good things from Kate. I don't know about van life though. 2 years in a van, that's a long time.
Yeah. It's the end. It's the end of our workout. The end of a triumphant workout.
It is difficult coming home and asking her how her day was or like how her ride went or workout, and she's like, well, there's a few good things and then, this didn't go so well, and I was like, well, you're supposed to do this, or like you should have eaten more, or like why didn't you have lunch? And so like those things that like we talk about regularly that are easy and she doesn't do them, that is really frustrating because she knows and she tells all of her athletes and all her clients the same thing. She just doesn't do it herself.
Good afternoon, Kate. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing all right. Feeling a little tired, I guess. I did my upper threshold workout yesterday, and that didn't go as I was hoping it would go.
was a 4x8 upper threshold, and honestly, like, really pleased with the first two, dropping off a little bit on the third one, and then, for lack of a better word, failed on the last one, but
That's a quick word for it.
but still really, really quality work. So how was today?
It felt a little easier than it did, but I guess I was still probably tired from yesterday's workout.
My favorite part of the day is waking up, making coffee, taking Everett for a walk, and then I typically settle down and get in front of my laptop and talk to athletes, make sure their programs are dialed and get their feedback from previous workouts. And that's also one of my favorite parts of the day.
But are you being sure to fuel these endurance rides too? Are you consuming anything, like any bottles on the ride, aside from just water?
So like in the upper threshold limit, I more or less fueled that with, the fresh super fuel or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Not mixed at full strength, but I don't know. Or I just had them scoped in a bottle and a gel.
And a gel? Okay.
Yeah.
Did you eat a breakfast before the ride?
I did not.
Ah.
I just got up and started pedaling.
Alright. Did you eat something after the ride? Just because I'm gonna be super nitpicky in these last...
Pancakes.
Okay. Alright, good. I'm just gonna be super nitpicky with you in these last 2 weeks because what you consume after your ride immediately affects your recovery for the following day. And tomorrow you have a 4x10 threshold.
Yeah, that ought to be fun.
Take it,
That'll be a good plan to pull that off.
take it one at a time,
My parents they didn't understand the van thing at first. They definitely understood us wanting to like travel, adventure, and like ride and do different things. But I think when we told them we were gonna buy a van and build it, they didn't understand at first. And then the first time my dad saw it, he's like, yeah, this looks like something you guys would be into. So they like quickly kind of slightly started to understand, or at least why we were interested.
Even if they don't understand it, ultimately, like, we both have really great parents that just
He even asked me
want us
like
to
a
be
week ago
happy.
that they want to take it out one weekend.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll happen. But
I don't know if my parents would, but yeah.
yeah, yours wouldn't.
And I remember they got it in Asheville, and I went down there to pick them up. We walked in, and Blane was parked outside, and this thing you couldn't even see past the door. It was so big, So I was like, "What are you getting into?"
So this is it. Welcome to our humble abode. Welcome to our kitchen, office, bedroom, bathroom, living room. This is it. Where to start? So it was pretty fun working with a company based out of Denver called Van Life Customs, and they really worked with us to see what our needs were and how we could make the most effective, efficient use of space. We had rented a van prior to this to get a feel, to make sure we would like it, to make sure the two of us and the dog could all coexist in the same space for an extended period of time, and it just felt right. So there were some things about that previous van that we didn't like. A lot of times you'll have a traditional smaller fridge style, and we're going to be in this full time. So going to the grocery store, constantly bending over to put groceries away, get in there and get groceries out, that just didn't seem like something we wanted. So we went with a cooler style fridge, and it actually serves as a really nice bench. It's fridge and freezer. We don't use the freezer space that often, just because we like to cook fresh things, so we can actually turn that off freezer mode and put it on fridge mode, or we could turn one section off altogether and save on the power. But not that that's a big issue, because we have solar on the roof, and the controls for that, like we see even on an overcast day and with all the lights running, with the fan running, we're still at 99.9% battery. So there are also batteries under here, and we have the inverter, so if we're ever totally out of solar, we can turn on the van and get power from that as well. We don't have an AC unit, but we do have 2 fans, one that will push air and one that will pull air. So this, everybody's worried about the type of mattress you'll have in a van, but this is actually an 8-inch memory foam mattress and super comfortable. Obviously, when we're riding, you know, recovery is super important to us. So getting a good night's sleep, being at a good temperature, all very important, and it works. So this isn't packed out yet, but it will be very soon. So we like to save these 2 for like our breads, our grains, our oats, and our canned food in here, and spices. These 2 will be packed out, and then any overflow here in our dishes, it's just the 2 of us. So we're gonna be doing dishes every night. So this is our sink. Our water pump is over here, and we have a 25-gallon water tank in the back. And then this is where our gray water goes. So this holds about 5 gallons, and again, we don't skimp on food quality or you know, cooking is something we love to do. So we have an induction cooktop here. Induction is super cool. You can actually boil water fairly quickly. And how it works is through magnet. So anything that's magnetic will actually work on the induction cooktop. So it's electric. And what's nice about it is as soon as, you know, you can touch it while it's on, and it won't generate heat. It needs the magnetic metal bottom to generate that heat. So it'll stay hot after you remove the hot surface, just for a little bit. But dishes here to keep some of Everett's things in here, and our ride food, like I said, it's not packed out. Our drink mix, our gels for our races, our more solid snack foods. We'll split this and keep some of our fresh veggies in there. Silverware, coffee. The most important part of waking up, right? So this is probably like a little excessive, but we don't mess around with our coffee. So we'll pull this out. We have an outlet tucked away, which is really nice. So we'll have our hot water kettle for our pour over, our coffee grinder. The scale is inside, but this will set on our coffee mug, and we'll be able to do a full pour over system there. And then our huge closet. So we'll pack this pretty tight. Blane gets one, I get one, and you'd be surprised how much you can actually squeeze in here. So the limiter for us is really our riding kit, so our jerseys and our bibs. We will end up using a full cabinet for that. So our towels live here. Blane and I will each get a cabinet for our riding gear, and our toiletry drawer. We're really high maintenance, so just kidding. There's not much that lives in there. It's the basics, you know, when you're living on the road. I mean, who cares, right? And then, of course, for emergencies only, we're going to be bike racing so often, so in order to have a good race, it requires a good bathroom time in the morning, and often those porta potty lines are way too long and don't want to be late to the race start. So that was a necessity. Everett started with just our love of biking and then turned into camping. You don't really like camping, so then
tent camping is not fun.
Yeah, we turned the Tundra into our overland vehicle and quickly grew out of the rooftop tent and then upgraded to this. Mm-hmm. And like the bikes take us to such beautiful places, and it truly like became a lifestyle. So it's like we can see other beautiful places by taking the bikes places and just kind of living on the road.
It is the great equalizer. I mean, everybody, we watch it time and time again. People that would have never met each other in different walks of life, like giving each other high fives and riding a bike together is awesome. And then if you have a family or kids, like the youth mountain biking now is really, really, really cool too. So we see so many families coming together and kids coming together and people just loving that sport. And going out there and riding together, and it's healthy. You don't ever see anybody crying on a bicycle, you know? I should rephrase that. You don't, yeah. You don't ever see anybody frowning on a bicycle, you know? Everybody's always smiling when they're on a bike. Yeah, that's why we love it.
Forgot about this.
Yeah, I know. Oh, that was rough. Let's go back and ride that again. I keep forgetting to take that right line.
One of my favorite things is the build of the bike. So I actually enjoy building a bike as much as I do actually riding a bike. So seeing something from start to finish, figuring out all the integral pieces that go together. And more than that, I fell in love with building bikes for people, like figuring out a specific need when a customer comes and says like, I have a bike, I love it, but there's some things that I don't like 100% love. And when I can build a bike to just dial that niche that they want, and they come back after the first ride and are like, I've never ridden anything like that before. That's what I absolutely love that. Somebody looking to get into the sport on more of an entry-level bike, it'll be something like this guy over here. And so this is kind of in the sub $1,000 category, and that might sound expensive, but in an actual bike shop, that's, fairly entry level. So something like this, the components are great for, riding, on pretty timid trails, bike paths, different things like that. A lot of the componentry, isn't quite as beefy as some of the higher end bikes. So when we start stepping it up, as we would say in the bike world, this is a much higher end bike, and I'll go through some of the features. So a lot of people ask, what makes a bike $5,000, $6,000, $10,000, $15,000, and I'll just kind of start going through it a little bit. So one of the biggest things that can make a bike more expensive is the material that the frame is made out of. This particular one here is still made out of aluminum, but a lot of the frames are made out of carbon fiber or titanium. So that really adds a lot of money to a bicycle. We'll step over here to the wheels. Same thing. The wheels can be made out of different materials. Carbon is it's a lighter material. It definitely adds a few dollar signs to the bike. But when you have a really solid wheel and a better hub and better bearings, every single little piece and every component of the bike is stepped up a little bit. So everything is kind of comes down to weight and efficiency. You know, when you have the weight of the bike drop and something be stiffer and more efficient, that results in you going faster. So when it comes to mountain biking, we like to keep this rear wheel on the ground. So when we're pedaling, we're accelerating, and having a rear suspension on the bike in a lot of cases keeps this firm and planted. And I think that it actually makes it a lot safer of a ride as well. This has some technology that you won't find over here. This is called a dropper post. You can hit a lever here and you can push down on that. And when you hit the lever again, the seat post automatically comes up. So the point of that is when you're flying down the side of a mountain, you can push that guy down. You can be more centered over the bike, and you can just kind of get the seat out of the way. So, and then it comes back up to the exact seat height that you had.
At the end of the day, I like to have some time to get out and do some training, get out on the mountain bike for an hour or two if I can, and the weekends are where I get to have my fun. I try not to do too much on the weekends and get out for a big ride or run, and that's where I get a lot of my training from when I can, and kind of hanging out with Kaitlyn.
Big volume weekends.
Yeah. Right now, I'm kind of going through a little devotional. One of my mentors gave that to me because I was I was having trouble finding direction, you know, just picking up the Bible and reading through it. I was just going through the motions. So I met with him one day and we went through a few things, and he recommended this book that he actually gave to me. And I don't get to read as much as I'd like. You know, 5 or 10 minutes in the morning is really all I can get, but it has been pretty beneficial, and I do enjoy that time. It's nice because Kaitlyn's still asleep and the dog still sleeps, so it is actually truly quiet, which is nice.
I've joined this group called AIA. It's Athletes in Action, started by Brian Furley out in Colorado, and he's a mountain biker, and he handles what we call the dirt crew. So all the mountain bikers get together from all over the country that are involved in this group, and we do a Zoom small group. It's been really cool. If you have believers in the workplace, if you have believers in the groups that you're in, it really makes an impact. It's just been fun to get to know them. Hearing about their life and just doing fellowship with them has been really fun. It's important to train as if you're racing in a sense. It's important to visualize and prepare for the worst possible scenarios so that when it happens in the race, you have something to draw back on, you know, in a sense that you've been there before. Practicing, understanding how to fix a flat should that happen in the race, and treating it, you know, as if it were a race scenario, understanding how to move calmly, efficiently, effectively, to have the best outcome in a race.
So like, you know, you can't, you know, see some of these scenarios in training. You have to go to a race where you're there with 50 other people on the start line and, you know, you miss a pedal, you know, well, okay, that's something you need to work on, but you can't, you know, be in that race scenario at home. You know, your nutrition and how you're fueling during the race, things like that. Going to these smaller events, it may not matter as much to work through those issues that you wouldn't see at home, so that by the time you get to the big event, the nationals, like all that stuff is like dialed and all the problems are out of the way.
We go to these races, what we would call B or C events, to work on these practical things. But as far as gritting it out when you're in the middle of a race and it's storming and cold, those things can't be trained. But doing something hard and learning a new skill, doing something that you're going to fail at more naturally than you succeed at, that kind of parallels life, because if you can work through those situations in a controlled environment when you're thrown these obstacles in life on the mountain bike, you're going to have a sense of calmness and be able to handle those things.
Needed some speed through that.
I guess this will be the third race I've seen Kaitlyn do. Some tough ladies ahead of her that she's definitely doing well against.
I've only been training really since March, kind of on and off. So I'm pleasantly surprised. I just wanted to use this to like throw myself to fitness, and I think we're accomplishing that. Had a demoralizing wreck on something that was silly.
Oh, really?
Yeah.